and I will open us up with a word of prayer. Dear Lord, we are in a unique time in our lives, in our countries, in our homes, in our places of worship and business. First and foremost, we ask for prayers for everyone who has been affected by this virus. We ask that for quick healing, be with those medical staff who are dealing with those people, and just be with us all, that we will have calm, that we will still be able to have some normalcy in our lives, and that we'll be able to get through this situation and this unique time very quickly. Thank you for technology like Zoom that allows us to connect from different parts of the state, the region, and the country. Be with us today as we go over different ways in which we can use Zoom to stay connected as a church body. This we ask in Jesus' name, amen. So thank you all for joining us today. I have, I believe, muted everybody just to keep the background noise at a minimum. That is an option of the meetings. When you set up a meeting, you can go into your settings and you can mute everyone upon entry. I know some of you kind of took that off, which was fine. But if you're holding, let's say, a worship service or something like that, it's nice to have that so everybody comes on, they're muted, and you're not getting the background noise of kids, dogs, what have you during a service. My name is Mike Givler. I am the communications coordinator at the Synod of the Trinity. We're located in Camp Hill, just a little bit west of Harrisburg in Pennsylvania. I am joined by Synod staffers Sue Wonderland, who is our transitional executive, and also Wayne Yost, who is the stated clerk of the Synod. They will both have parts in this meeting as well. So the first thing I would like to do is hand off the meeting to Wayne, and he can just talk about the polity surrounding this. Is Zoom and video conferencing, is that something you can do in your church and hold meetings and actually hold votes through this medium? So I'll turn this over to Wayne and he'll address those concerns.
Thanks, Mike. Welcome, everybody. I see a lot of folks I know. The Book of Order does not have anything explicit in it about virtual meetings, but Robert's Rules of Order does. And since Robert's Rules of Order is our governing manual, you might say, that's covered there. In your bylaws, it is helpful, really, it is important where you talk about meetings, if there is at least a sentence in there stating that the congregation, session, and other entities may meet via electronic or digital means, as outlined in the standing rules of the organization. And we'll get to that in a second. The first, by being in your bylaws, that allows the corporation, the congregation, the session to meet electronically, digitally. Then in your standing rules is where you set up the process for doing that. In the standing rules of the Synod is a model process that you can use. Now it gets kind of detailed and kind of long, but a registered parliamentarian who is also a stated clerk helped us put that together. So it covers all the contingencies that Roberts would like for us to have covered, and so that you are covered legally and ecclesiastically. I will ask Mike if you would excerpt that part of the standing rules and put it as a separate file under Zoom meetings or however you have that on the web page. That way you can go and access it and tweak it for your own situation. It is helpful if you're the moderator of your meeting can only worry about moderating the meeting and not worry about the technical aspects. So it is helpful to have a facilitator, which is what we call it in the Synod standing rules, to handle all of the mechanics and to assist the moderator. Now, it's very helpful if the moderator and the facilitator are close by, so that the facilitator can say, Mr. Moderator, you will note that Diana has raised her hand and wishes to say something. So the moderator doesn't have to be watching for all of that. The image that you might have in your mind is, how many of you remember the Bob Newhart radio show where he was? Yeah, okay. He had a producer on the other side of the window who handled all the technicalities. Or you might have in your mind the Today Show or Good Morning America or whatever that, where they go from the on-screen personalities to the control room. The on-screen personalities don't worry about the technicalities. That's where your producer or facilitator comes in. Just as Mike started us, he gave some general instructions on the technical aspects. Now, question is, can you vote in Zoom? And is it seeable by everybody, or can you have a private vote? Both answers are yes. Sue in a while will deal with polling, which allows for more of a private vote. But if on your screen, if you will find on my laptop, it's at the bottom, participants. And if you will click on participants, you should see a sidebar with all of the participants listed. Is everybody seeing that? If you could just give me a visual, yeah. Okay, at the bottom of the participant list, you will see a raise hand. Buddy, if you would click your raised hand. Okay, there are several who were raising their hand. Can you all see that in your sidebar? Okay, now to lower your hand, just click on raise hand again. Okay, now you also see a green check mark and a red X. See those? Those are for public voting. But I want to go over to go slower. That means you're moving too fast and I can't keep up with you. Or get this train moving, you're taking too long, go faster. Now, if you were in a meeting and a motion is being made, then the facilitator, you can type that motion. Again, at the bottom of your screen is a chat. So everybody's mouse down and you'll see chat. See that? So there you can send to the facilitator. You can type it in as a chat, send it to the facilitator. Facilitator then can put it up on the screen so that everybody can see it. So far, any questions, comments, or snide remarks?
Speaking of snide remarks, you can either send a message to everyone, which you can see, or you can just do it to one person, which can certainly be a dangerous thing if Bill wants to talk to Sue and say that it's a lousy job or something like that. So
Thank you, Mike. Yes, in that chat function where you're going to type in your message, just above it, it says to everyone, or you can pick who you want it to go to. So if you want to have some past notes in the classroom, rather than passing it from Janet to Jean to Bill to give to Jim, like we used to do in class. I don't know how many of you remember that from junior high and high school. Yeah, passing notes.
I have a question.
Excuse me, I've been having a little difficulty with the voice. So you can select who you want the note to go to. That way you can check the facilitator. Sue has a point. You need to unmute.
Wayne, there are a number of questions. I think if you would hold, and folks, if you would use your participants' hand raising to ask a question. Patty, you go first, and then I see hands up that I'm not sure if they're questions or if they are up from the test before. So,
Okay. Where would the chat function be on a Mac?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I can tell you about iPad and laptop. I don't know anything about Mac.
so where are the rest of your tools, Patty? If you scroll your finger around, are any tools showing up?
Yeah, I have, the hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster. I have more, but that is thumbs up, thumbs down.
Right,
Yeah,
but hold on a second. Get out of that box.
I don't know.
Wherever you click,
Just click the
Participant.
X up there on participants.
yeah.
No, that'll leave the meeting. Hit the little down arrow at participants. and hit close.
Back at the original screen. Okay, sorry.
Right.
Thank you.
Wherever you clicked participants for that box to open up, I'm betting your chat function is right near there. That's what Wayne was saying. It's in a line.
Yes, I got it. Thank you. I'll
Excellent.
put my hand down now.
Wayne, there are more hands up.
Go slower, go faster.
Okay,
All right.
call on Sue.
The barn, do you have a question or is your hand just up?
It's just stuff. How do I undo it? Do I just click it again?
Click on it, the hand again. Yep, it'll go away.
Is that how we have?
Okay.
Wayne, your hand is up. Do you have a question?
I think we raised it.
Ginny, you have a question? You're muted. There you go. Mike, you have to do that.
Okay, counting votes, does that participants, red, green, does it total up, or who should be counting votes if you're doing a meeting that's taking votes?
Getting
The-
ahead.
Moderator, the technical person?
Shut up and let everybody finish.
Okay. The technical person can count them. When Sue deals with another way of voting in a bit, that tallies, I think. Right, Sue?
Yes.
Okay. So
Thanks.
this is, if everybody is comfortable seeing the votes, this is a public vote. For a confidential vote, Sue will talk to us about a function called polling. And so we'll deal with that in a minute. Other questions? Cynthia?
Yes, can we take a practice vote so we can see what that would look like? Like ask us if we like ice cream or not. We'll vote and we can see the outcome.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Thank you, Cynthia. Everybody that likes ice cream say yes. Those opposed say no.
Yes.
No,
No,
not out loud,
not
voting.
out loud. Click the little button on participants. Okay, Bill, I don't see that you have voted yet. There you come.
Wayne, you didn't vote.
Now,
He's thinking.
Nancy Timothy, you've not voted yet.
We have 35 participants. I see 33 votes. Bill Cosnet has not. He just did. Wayne has not. And Nancy Timothy has not. So one other thing that you don't see on your end, because I'm the host, maybe you do see it on your end, I can actually see the tallies on my end. So if you have, let's say, 50 people, I have 31 yeses and 3 nos currently. So it actually tallies up on my end what the vote count is.
Okay, so if the moderator or the facilitator is the host, and I would recommend the facilitator be the host, then the facilitator will see the tally of the hands. So let me ask you just to unclick your vote and it'll go away. Sue, Mike, you're still voting no.
Sorry, I was answering a question.
Yeah, I
Brett,
am
you're
too.
still
did you
voting no, or voting yes.
How do I undo it?
Hit it again.
Click the little yes at the bottom again.
Okay.
Diana, you're still yes. Brett, you're still yes. Just, okay, just again, there you go. Everybody has clicked out of it. Maggie, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Yes, thank you. It's been answered in chat.
Okay.
Well, it's a good question. Hang on, Wayne. It's a good question, and we don't have all the answers for. The question is, if somebody's on by phone, how do they vote? Now, we are going to be giving you any of these details. If you're furiously taking notes, we're going to be giving you sheets. Mike, I'm not sure if you posted them yet or not, but you will be getting sheets at the end of the meeting to download. What we know right now about phones are that if *6 is muting and unmuting, and that's really helpful when somebody has a dog barking in the background, they have to do it, but *6 is muting and unmuting, and *9 is hand raising. So at the very least, folks on the phone could vote, if you vote yes, hit *9 now. There may be more. We haven't unearthed it yet. We will update you on that. We want it to go, even though we only had a piece of it. So stay tuned. Both of those commands are going to be in the resource sheets that you will get after the meeting. So good question, Maggie. Thank you.
Sorry, I had myself muted. New Hope, if you will try *9. I'm not seeing anything happening yet, New Hope. Okay, we'll just move on. Let me emphasize again, it's important in your bylaws that there is a statement saying that the organization, be it the corporation, the congregation, the session, and other entities may hold meetings electronically / digitally. Then in your standing rules is where you outline the process by which meetings will be conducted. Cynthia, you have your hand up.
Thank you, yes. I agree we can add these to our bylaws, but if they're not there now, how do I video vote to put them into the bylaws?
Pretend they're there. Make sure that everybody has a copy of what you want. So put it up on the screen. And so folks can see it and can vote on it. Note that in your minutes that in lieu of this already being in the bylaws, you're having this meeting in order to put it in. Remember, it's the corporation that has the bylaws. So technically that's the congregation. The session, if it's functioning as your trustees, can function to add it to the bylaws. Then come back the next time you have an in-person congregational meeting, affirm all of that. And make sure it's in your minutes. If you don't have process in your standing rules yet, go ahead and put your process out again for people to see, and go ahead and vote on accepting the process into your standing rules. Some people say you put it at the end as a special rule rather than inserting it in the middle of your standing rules.
And Wayne, where did you say that our model process is that folks can access?
The model process is in the Synod standing rules. And I asked Mike if he would excerpt that and make it a separate file on our website that can be accessed.
So Mike, let's at least, wherever else it may be, let's also put that with the coronavirus information so that folks can see. Maybe we'll have another heading, meeting information you may need or something like that. So folks, that link is going to be right around the top right of our website. So you don't have to go hunting. It's not a test. It's a share.
Cynthia, you have your hand up.
I'm good. I guess I need to unhand myself.
Yeah, click on the hand again down at the bottom. There you go. Anybody else with questions that I'm not seeing? Nope, that's everybody. Okay, that will cover you to be able to have digital video phone meetings. We've already had at the Synod, our governing commission has already met via video, but we're covered with a statement in our bylaws and the process in our standing rules. Other questions about having a meeting? James.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just wondering, see, there's two of us here. If like someone is using a device and there are two people in the meeting on that device, is there any way for two people to vote? Or is the device only representing one person?
The device is representing one person. So what you would do is become public. I mean, your vote could be collected, but it would likely be collected in a public way. Fair question. Fair question.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah, but the device equals one person.
Yeah, I think if everyone understood that there were two people there, though, in the meeting, it could be understood that there was more than one vote registered publicly.
But you may split your votes. One may vote yes, one may vote no.
True.
I don't have a good answer for that at this time, except to encourage you to use separate devices.
But that brings up another point.
Just hypothetically, though, I mean, not everybody, and not everyone's up to speed on that, but thanks.
One could be on phone and one could be on video.
Okay, good thought.
Except, yes, theoretically, yes, but if you're too close, even if you're 6 feet apart, even if you're the magic 6 feet apart, we have had experience, Mike, do your eyeballs with this. We have had experience with people having audio that it overdubs, it picks up, it squeals. Even if you have it off, sometimes it does that. So in fact, if you ask Joy Kaufman, she will tell you of recent experiences in this. If you are too close together, like even in the same room, with two audio accesses, it can just be a nightmare, and getting it straightened out isn't always the easiest thing. So unless you're doing something that is uber private and you are wanting to be visiting the meeting with another person, I would, Wayne's comment about the public piece, I think could be your best bet.
Okay, thank you. James, if you'd put your hand down. Maureen Wright.
I guess I'm just was wondering whether the chat, it would be unorthodox, but whether the chat function could be used differently in order to accommodate public voting, at least when you have two people using the same device. Just a comment.
Thank you, Maureen. Yes, that could work. If you're not worried about everybody seeing your vote, you could vote your yes or your no and send it to everybody. There, where on the chat, again, you can send it privately to one person, or you can send it to everybody. You would select everybody and cast your vote, yes, no. And it would show up for everybody to see. Thank you, Maureen. That's good. That's another option. Thank you. Other questions on the polity end of having a meeting? New Hope, are you wanting to say something? All right, I don't hear anything. Okay, Sue, I'm going to hand it off to you to talk about.
Oh,
What?
well, Mike, do you want to do the other stuff before polling, or do you want to do the view stuff and all about the screen maybe before we go to polling?
Yep, I can, for sure.
Okay, so after a while, Sue will do how to do a polling vote that is a private, confidential vote.
But you're hanging out, right? You're going to still be around.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
So one more reminder, if you happen to join on late, if you scroll over your screen, bottom left would be a start video button. I would like to take a picture, a screenshot of everybody just to kind of promote what we did today. So the more faces I can see, the better. If we can do that, and I'll give you a heads up so that nobody looks is caught off guard when we do this. But if everybody could get on their camera, I would appreciate it. Again, bottom left when you mouse over your screen should be a start video button.
Mike, are you seeing everybody or do you have to go to two screens?
You have to go to two screens. There are 35 people that I see. There's arrows on the left and the right to go from one window to the other, at least from my end. Okay, I'm gonna take a picture here quick. 1, 2, 3. All right, I think we're good there. So there's a couple ways to view your screen. If you mouse over your screen and go to the upper right, look at the upper right-hand corner, it should either say speaker view or gallery view. If it says speaker view, that means you're in the gallery view. And gallery view means you can see just about everybody. With this many people, you can't see everybody on the screen. So I like to call this version one of two things, either Hollywood Squares, for those old enough to remember that game show, or the Brady Bunch, right? The Brady Bunch also came on with these kind of pictures everywhere. If you would like, I should have probably mentioned this earlier, if you want the person who is speaking to be the biggest person on your screen, so let's say you're having a worship service and you don't want to see the 45 other people, 50 other people that have joined the service, you click on where it says speaker view, and now I am probably the biggest person on your screen, and then there's a row of other people either at the top or down the side. And again, there's an arrow button. You can see what everybody else looks like if you want to scroll through it. So there's two options to view your screen, either gallery view or speaker view. Anybody have any questions about that? That's
No.
pretty explanatory, I think.
Mike, this is Wayne. I would ask New Hope if you would use *6 to mute your phone.
Okay. Next thing I want to go over would be just how to set up a meeting. So some of you probably already have Zoom licenses, have probably used Zoom before, and this is old hat. So what I will do is I am going to share my screen, which is also an option. So if you are looking to show a document, let's say you're in a meeting, you want to show a document, you want to share a document with everyone else, if you mouse over your screen, now don't click on it, but the bottom center should be share screen. And again, as the host, you can set that up so only the host can share, or you can make it so anybody could share. That way, if I'm in a meeting and the treasurer wants to share a financial document, they have that ability to do so. And you can toggle back and forth and do that as well. But I'm going to share my screen here real quickly. And you are seeing this Zoom account. And when you set up a meeting, there's different settings. You can see on the left-hand side there is settings bar. You scroll down, and I'll try and do this as painlessly as possible. There's different settings you can do. As you can see, polling is one. You have to be able to set up a poll, which Sue will talk about later. You have to click on that to make that function available for you. Near the top.
And Mike, it's the host that does that.
Meeting. It is the host, right? Whoever's setting up the meeting does this, right? Not an individual person does this. This is also where, when you set up an individual meeting, you can mute everyone upon entry. That way, when everybody comes on, they're automatically muted. We talked about that earlier. If you're having a church service, you don't want everybody coming on and making noise. I also have the ability as the host to mute people. So if somebody gets on, they unmute themselves, all of a sudden the dog barks in the background. If you're in a worship service, you want to mute them. I, as the host, have the ability to click on each name and mute them as well. But you can also do that when you create a meeting to mute everyone upon entry. So those are some of the things. You can scroll down through that as you get your license to kind of see the different options that are available. You can require a password to schedule a meeting. You can do all those different, there's all kinds of different functions when doing that. Any questions about any of that? If so, I would say, okay, go ahead, Patty. I'll unmute you. Go ahead, Patty. Oh, you got to unmute yourself. My mistake. Go ahead, Patty.
I'm sort of new to Zoom, although I'm kind of a techie, so I pick it up quickly. But I just wanted to know, is this free?
Okay, there is a free option on Zoom. The only downside to that is, well, there's two downsides right now. The one downside is your meetings are limited to 40 minutes. So if you want to hold a worship service, tell your pastor to speak quickly. So 40 minutes is the maximum time for an account. So that works out well. If you have a son or a daughter in college or they moved away from home, you want to talk to them for 30 minutes, you can do that. Now, can you do a 40-minute meeting, log off, start a new meeting, and log back on? You probably can. You can probably get around it that way. But then you've got that whole transition period. You got to create a new meeting and all this and all that. So there's ways around it. But the free meeting only limits to 40 minutes. Also,
Mike,
because of the with the coronavirus.
let me interrupt you a second. If you go from your 40-minute meeting, log out and log back in, record that in your minutes that that's what you did.
Okay.
Currently, because of the coronavirus situation, colleges, businesses, churches, a lot of people are getting on Zoom and using this program. Currently, if you have the free Zoom, they will not allow you to call in with the phone. So that is normally available, but just because of the influx of people, the amount of people that are using it, you have to have a paid subscription in order to have people call in to a meeting.
Okay.
So how much does it cost? Probably is the next question.
Mm-hmm.
I have an account that is $15 a month. Now we pay for it by the year, and they give you a little bit of a break.
Okay.
If you're nonprofit, we pay about $150 a year for the Zoom subscription. If you're familiar with TechSoup is a website for nonprofits. You can get hardware, that sort of thing. You can get a $10 discount by going through TechSoup. It's kind of a different situation. You have to buy, you have to give TechSoup like $50, and then you go through Zoom. They give you a code. You buy like a code through TechSoup for $50, and then you can go through Zoom and buy it for like $60 or something like that. My math is off, but it ends up being about $140. You save about $10 if you have a TechSoup account to get through Zoom. But it's basically $150, somewhere in that range for a subscription for Pro. Yes,
Mike, excuse me. I just, if you're a techie person and you have WikiBuy or something that searches coupons, I just upgraded mine to Pro so that we have 2 Pro, and it searched, and I got it for $119 plus tax without going through the Zoom Pro, without going through the TechSoup tax-free process. TechSoup is especially good when you need multiples. Because you have to buy the single license, and that gives you up to 10. But if you scroll, and if you do the tech thing, you should be able to find offers. But even $149 plus tax is just not nearly what amazing compared to what we used to be paying for this stuff.
A question I got through chat is how many folks can be named administrators on a single account? So through the Pro account, I believe it's just one. Now you can certainly share your codes to get into an account, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing if you're in a presbytery and you have a meeting using it, another meeting using it. You could certainly do that. If you buy the business account, I believe you have to buy individual. Sue, remind me how that works with the licenses.
You buy access to the discount, and I think so you pay for the access to a discounted rates up to maybe 10 licenses. So the more you buy, the lower it becomes. There's a break-even place for TechSoup for most of their software. You can root around on there without being approved. It has to approve you as a nonprofit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's not an immediate process. If you need that, don't use TechSoup if you need this immediately.
Mike, Jim Klinger has a question.
Go ahead, Jim. You may be muted. I'm not sure. I can't hear
I
you.
was muted.
Okay. There you are.
What about our parishioners? Will they have to download anything? Will they have to pay anything? How will their end of it work from the point of view of somebody who doesn't want to be a moderator of or anything?
Are you talking about like a worship service on a Sunday morning?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you create a meeting, it gives you an invitation that you can send out to whomever. It includes a link to the meeting, probably something like you got either from me or however you received an invite to this meeting. Also on that invitation is a phone number to call in and a meeting ID. So if somebody's at home, wants to listen to a worship service that's being Zoomed on a Sunday morning, and they don't have a computer or laptop, my parents don't have Wi-Fi in their house, but if they have a phone, now again, this won't work for the free account, but if you have the paid account, there's a phone number to call and then a 9-digit meeting ID that you can call in and then listen to the service or the meeting or what have you. So all that is part of creating a meeting, and then an invitation appears that you basically copy and paste. You can put it in an email, or you could share it, any other way, the phone number as well as the meeting ID to attend that meeting. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Anybody else with questions at this point? Okay, I don't see any. The next thing we will talk about. So you saw how I could share my screen, share documents. I'll do that again, a quick share.
Show them, did you tell them where to get to the share button, Mike?
I did. I'll tell them again. So the bottom, if you mouse over your screen, bottom, the center of your screen is a share screen option. So here is something that I will send you when we're finished. It is a document that I'm using that talks about the different functions of Zoom. But you can see here that you can easily scroll through a PDF, a Word document, what have you, and talk about, again, financials, what have you. Maybe it's a church service and you want to put lyrics on the screen. You can share that as well. Any questions on that?
Mike, Richard H. has a question, but is muted. There you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Mike. I ended up sending you a private question, and I meant it to be public. We've been talking during this webinar about basically business meetings, but my question is Zoom a good choice for doing, like Jim was asking about, a worship service? That's what we're primarily interested in finding.
Right. I think it is. I think as long as the key would be to have, ideally, you wouldn't want to use your phone to do it, but you could create a meeting on your phone using an app. The Zoom app is very good on your handheld device. And you could actually prop your phone up and have your pastor deliver the message, right, and do that, and then be able to share the meeting codes with your congregation. One thing you definitely want to do is make sure that phone is steady. You don't want that phone, you don't want somebody to be holding that for 40 minutes, an hour, what have you. People are going to get dizzy and it's not going to be a good production for you. But yes, you can certainly use Zoom to do that. Another thing is Facebook Live. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I would
actually talk about both. I'm going to talk about both of them.
Okay. Sue, actually, her husband, pastor at Ben Salem Presbyterian Church down near Philadelphia, actually used Facebook Live on Sunday to do their worship service. It went out on Facebook, and then it was very well received. So yeah, that's part of the reason we're doing this webinar today, is not only for meetings, but also it can certainly be done for worship services. Again, just make sure that phone is, or a camera, what have you, however you want to use it, is steady.
Duct tape.
Thank you very much.
Mike, we have some other questions. Let's go with Cynthia first.
Thank you. I did Facebook Live streaming for worship on Sunday, but now that file is stuck in Facebook. I can't therefore put it on my website or my YouTube. If I do a recording, I can then put that file wherever I like, and people could watch it at their convenience time-wise. I understand there's a benefit to streaming versus recording. If I do a Zoom worship, is that recording now only live in Zoom, or could I then share it with people on other platforms?
Yeah, so when you record, as I'm recording this, it gives you two options. One is to record it to the Zoom cloud. So basically I have to go into where I would create my meeting and I can get the recording that way. Or you can also record it to your computer. So I could record it directly to my laptop. Either way, you can pull those off there and stick those on YouTube. I believe when you have it in, and I'm positive of this, when you have it in, even in your Zoom cloud account, it gives you a web address that you can share and people can access it that way. Now, you can only put so many recordings in there until they start asking you to buy space. There's only so much space in there. So what I would recommend and what we do is we even put it in like Google Drive, and you can share videos through Google Drive. You can get a shareable link because not a lot of people have YouTube. So we either use Google Drive, and then once it's in there, you can share the link to Google Drive, and then people can watch it that way. Or you can create your own YouTube channel, put it on YouTube, and share it that way. So there are other options to do that.
Mike, Jim has a question again.
Okay, Jim?
Thank you. Picking up on the last question, what if our pastor wanted to record a sermon? Or what if our organist wanted to record some music? In this platform, when you share your screen, can we share videos and recordings?
Anything that I think you would do normally in a worship service, you can use this platform to share. So yeah, if you wanted to show your pianist playing a hymn, you could record that. If you wanted to just do a, it could even be just a 30-second or you could do this. We're talking about Sunday worship services. We're talking about meetings. If your pastor wanted to record just a 60-second, message to their congregation in this time when you're not be able to meet, you could use this, record it, download it, and share it that way. So it definitely has that ability.
Mike, show them the button, please, for sharing so that the sound comes through, just so they put it in their brain. I'm not sure that you have it noted here.
Yeah, well, and they won't see that. So what she's talking about is hit your share screen option. This is important. When you hit your share screen option, you get a window, and at the bottom of that window is a share computer sound button that you have to click if you want to. So let's say I'm sharing a YouTube video with everyone here. In order for me to play that video and be able to hear it, when you hit the share screen button, you also hit share computer sound so that everybody can hear it. It doesn't affect something live like this because we can hear each other. It's just if you're trying to play a video, like let's say your pastor wants to deliver a message, you recorded the pianist doing a song because she didn't want to be in the same place as the pastor because of the virus. So you have the pre-recorded pianist music with the live pastor delivering the message. Now you want to hear the pianist play the hymn, you'd have to click that share computer screen button when you share the screen, and then they could play the hymn.
Share the sound.
Share the sound, right, and then come
Only
back
the sound?
to the pastor.
No.
Oh, the sound and the video. I'm sorry, the sound and the video.
Thank you.
Okay, Jim, if you'll put your hand down, Patty has a question. Patty.
You're muted.
There you go.
Okay. When I ask this, please know I'm not trying to get us off track at all. But of course, these are unprecedented times. I am a commissioned pastor, excuse me, a commissioned pastor for a very small country church. And so the idea of, streaming and things like that are very new for all of us. We've almost entirely relied on our hymnal throughout history here, and now we're looking at streaming, songs and things like that. So my question is, does the copyright that comes with our hymnal, does that cover streaming?
Can
Mike?
I, hang on, can we put the worship question? Patty, that's a great question. And I happen to know we have an expert who's wearing a purple shirt, see if you can find him on your screen, with glasses in his office, who can help with this.
Okay.
Can we put off some of these worship conversation questions until we get through a little more of the technical? Because then we can have all in for those who want to have conversation about worship.
Okay.
Is that
Sue,
okay?
you talking about BC?
Why can't you let people play? Yes, I am.
Okay.
And he knows it too, because I watched his face start glowing.
I didn't mean to get us off track.
No, you're not off track. It's just, let's put all them in one. Let's get to that hub of worship, and we'll try to start with that question.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Patty, if you'll put your hand down. Janet, your microphone is still open. There you go.
Anyone else?
Mike, let me say, one of the things that we are modeling here is I'm functioning as the facilitator and letting you know who has hands up and so forth, so you don't have to watch it.
Very good. Looking at my notes, we talked about the chat function. Wayne went over that. Taking a vote, raising hands, we went over. Sue, can you talk about the polling function, please?
Only if you make me the host for a minute. We hope that we can do it this way. So polling gives you the opportunity to poll people, to take votes. It also, if you are the host who created the meeting, you can actually change the poll you've set up while you're working on it. So that, now this is a level 2. We just learned this. This is not, oh my God, I'm just starting with Zoom, I want to do a poll. This is maybe not that, but we wanted to show it to you so you could have a taste of it, and we will be happy to resource you, she says, privately or smaller groups about this, but wanted you to experience it. Mike showed you when you go into your Zoom account, free or paid, to set up a meeting, there's a whole lot of options of things that you could click, right? So one of those things says polling, so you want that on. The other one is live streaming that you might want on, and that we'll do during the worship conversation. So when you put polling on, you can, once you set up a meeting and save it, we're also going to send you instructions for this, so you don't have to write it all down. Once you set up your meeting, save it so that it's on the calendar and you have a code to send to people, you can go back and down down at the bottom of the screen for that meeting that you've set up in the account, it says polling, and I have a screenshot of this for you. So then it invites you to add questions to the poll. So that's ready to go. And then I'm looking at, you know, that toolbar we keep sending you to where you can share your screen, where you can look at participants, where you can chat, nod, if you know what I'm talking about. We've sent you to that screen. Okay, if you've set up a poll, you will see something that says polls. So I'm going to click on that. Did everybody have something pop up in front of them? All right, hold on a minute. Maybe I have to launch it. Now, downside, nothing for phone. If somebody's not on my screen, there's no way to involve them in this. This is only for screen users. So I'm going to launch the poll, and you go ahead and fill it out. And you can scroll down because there's 4 questions, and you should see the scroll bar. You have the ability to make it bigger if it's not big enough. Ah!
Once you have filled out your yes, no, whatever, you have to hit submit.
Thank you, Wayne. Yeah, good call. You have 30 seconds before I close the poll.
Sue Yoder has a question, Sue.
All right, wait till, can you hold on till, let me end the poll. I'm getting ready. 10 seconds. All right, I'm going to end the poll. So I have a button that says end poll, and then it says I can share the results. There you go. Really? I don't care about my waistline right now. Are presbytery meetings on Zoom possible? That's the correct answer, gang. Yes. What do you have? Did you notice what I did not put in the list of options for number 3? Only if you have communion would you add that. And then, are we having fun yet? Good. Now, I have had, I need somebody to make a motion to change number 3. Wayne, facilitate that, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
The problem is that if none of the answers apply to you, it won't let you click submit. So for instance, I didn't have any of those beverages by me. I had my power shake, but until I chose water or something, I could not submit the answer. So if you're going to take a poll that way, you're going to have to give people an option. Their options aren't within the things you've put.
And that's a good learning, Sue. And I don't know if it does that. This is a model for a vote for a presbytery particularly, but yeah, that's a good question. That's something we should check to see if there's an other. This is a forced choice, right? You can't go on until you fill them all out. Good.
Correct.
So right now we'll see what else we can learn about that. Thank you.
Okay, so the question is to change number 3 to something. So would somebody move an amendment to number 3? Just activate your mic and.
I think I can do it right now. I'm not sure. I can, go ahead.
I move to include power shakes or some other really healthy drink.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
Okay.
It's not, let me, hang on. Let me see if I can.
I think you have to do it before you vote, Sue.
No, you can do it. You can do it. Oh, there it is. I can do it right here. See the edit up? Oh, you may not see it, but yes, I can.
I'm not seeing the poll at all.
Okay, I'm seeing it. The reason I may not be able to do the edit is because of the way we do hosting. But I did test this last night and it worked, and I was able to go in and I'll give it one more try and then we won't. Poll is ended. No, it's not letting me. We'll work. I do have instructions. I will double check that. But see, what's happened is that Mike is hosting and I got the ability to host again, and it may not work unless it's the same person fully hosting. But last night I tested this all by myself. I created it and then I hosted the meeting from my computer, and I was able to go back in. There's an edit button that I can see at the poll so that I could go in, and if you have a motion that you're configuring, once you get it configured, you can go back in and do it.
But
You can
that
also launch a new poll.
So that is done before you submit. Just like in a meeting, you do not amend a motion after everybody has voted.
Yes, that's true. You can make it while you're going, while you're in the meeting is what I'm trying to say. You don't have to have it all set up before the meeting, and that's not how we do our work.
But once you close the meeting, it's done.
Yes, you're right. So this isn't a good example of that, but I don't know that I can. So the question would be, Wayne, can I get in and set up a new poll while we're in the middle of a meeting, because we haven't crafted the meeting until we're in the middle of it, and I can't access this meeting anymore.
Let me suggest we play with that and get other
Well, that's what I was saying.
directions out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So we won't worry about it right now.
We don't have to worry about it right now. Okay, so if do you have any questions about that?
If you've been to the General Assembly meeting, this is kind of what they use to show the graphs up on the screen as to which groups have voted
Yeah.
for what.
It is just, like I said before, it's a second level. It means play with it beforehand, but depending on, we may right now be able to have some meetings that are very important meetings, but that we're not voting on overly serious stuff. And this is particularly helpful for large groups. One would hope that a session is going to be able to vote without a poll, can do voice vote and things like that. A Presbyterian may not be able to. Depending on what our timing is with all of this, this is a good thing to be aware of, which is why we included it. And you will have instructions, and we'll play with it too, so that we can get a little more proficient. But you can do stuff during your meeting, and that's really helpful. That's it for polling right now, Mike.
Okay, make me the host again.
Maybe. There you go.
Okay. So one of the really neat functions of Zoom is that it allows you to put people into different rooms. So let's say you're having a meeting and you want to have small group discussions. You can actually put people into their own separate rooms. And we're going to do that right now. Just randomly, I am going to put everyone in a breakout room. We have 31 people, so I'm going to do 6 rooms, which will put 5 to 6 people in each room. So the program did it randomly. You can actually put people in where you want them, and that's not something I can show you now. I'm just telling you the functionality is available. I mean, we'll put you into rooms. I can't show you how I'm doing it, but you'll be able to see just how neat that is. So everyone should get an invitation to go to a breakout room. And I believe you have to click on that alert to go into the room.
Click join.
Well, Sue, you helped our group be ahead of the curve.
We are now in the main session. At least that's what it says.
And there are 4 of us. We left 2 of our compatriots. Oh, there's Ginny.
Yeah, it sounds like that's. So eventually when they all get back, I would assume that all their pictures will start to appear again.
I would think. Yeah.
My question is, how many breakout rooms can you make?
Oh, that's a good question.
If you have
Our
we
phone
have
is
a
ringing. I'm going to mute.
If you have a presbytery of 30, obviously we can do this. If you have a presbytery of 200, how many breakout rooms can you have?
Yeah, I don't think, that's a good question, but my understanding is that you can't have more than 100 people in Zoom.
I think you're right. Well,
That's
you
if
can
you get
if
the
you get the next
$14.99 a month version. You can have up to 100, and any meeting can go for as long as 24 hours. Please, Lord, don't let us do that. And there are more expensive versions for which you could have huge numbers of people. So you have to figure out, I think they let you purchase it monthly. I believe that's what our administrative assistant has said to us. So if you had a really big meeting, you could purchase a more expensive option for a month.
We went through the tech thing, the not-for-profit, because that's where we get all our stuff at half
The
price.
tech soup. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it was half price, and we have 3 communities on it now, and they all got it for $7.50 a month.
Wow.
So yeah,
Oh, they want us back.
I think we are back.
We are back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, she left the meeting.
Hi, Janet. This is Diana.
Hi, Diana. Oh. I know you.
Okay.
So pretty neat function, right?
Yes.
When we're all back in the meeting, please mute yourself.
So yeah, pretty neat functionality there. And like I said, I can pop in and out, and as the host, I can pop in and out and that sort of thing. And I think I told most of you it gives a 60-second warning as to, so you say you got 15 minutes for conversation, 14 minutes are up, you pop in and say, we're going to close the meeting in another 60 seconds. So either you come back on your own, or in 60 seconds, it'll bring you back automatically. So allows for some nice group discussions. We've had that. Our governing commission has used this function several times. If we've had to meet because of weather or whatever by virtual means, by Zoom, we've used those breakout groups to have a small group discussion and then come back to the whole and then have somebody report on what we talked about. So pretty neat setup there. I think 50 is the max I saw somewhere, in case anybody wants to know. I think the most rooms you can have is 50. So the odds of having, a couple hundred people, I guess you could have it for a meeting, depending how big the meeting is. But you can have up to 50 rooms for that. And again, when you click, as the host, when you click on the breakout rooms function, it basically puts everybody into a room, but then you can move them however you want them. So if you want certain people in a certain discussion group, you can monitor that as well. And again, that is something in your settings you have to set up by just clicking on breakout rooms as an option. It's not something that's part of the general meeting setup. You have to go into your settings to do that, but it's a simple process to do that. Recording is one thing I want to talk about. Most of you, I think, should have that option. I'm not sure. Again, I'm the host. I forget what you look like, but at the bottom part in that bottom panel is a recording option. And again, there's 2 options: either record to the Zoom cloud, where you can get it in your Zoom program, or you can download it to your desktop, which is fine. But then you got to definitely have a way to get it from your desktop to be able to share to somebody else. And that's where you want to either put it on YouTube or put it in Google Drive, something like that, to be able to share with everyone else. Another neat function, you can actually change the background of your video. So I really enjoyed being in St. Louis for the assembly. And as you can see, I'm in St. Louis. So the way to do that is you go down to your bottom left-hand corner where you have, it should say stop video now. You see the little up arrow. If you click on the up arrow, you see choose virtual background. You click on that, and then you can add an image or what have you. So this comes in nice. I'm in my living room because of the virus situation. You don't want to see my cats running around or my kids or what have you, distractions. You can put up a nice scene. Maybe you wish you were at a ball game. Maybe you wish you were in church. You know, your pastor could have a picture of the sanctuary with people in it, even though there's nobody in it behind them, what have you. The choir behind them singing, even though they're not there. You can play with the background there and have a neat background. Wayne's got some flowers. I see the Golden Gate Bridge on Christie. It's just a nice little function. Sue seems to be on Boathouse Row in Philly, it looks like. So again, some more playfulness that you can do. Any questions about that? And then to get rid of that, you go back into that function and click none, and you're back to where you were. Any questions on that at this point? I'm going to hand it over to Sue next to talk about Facebook Live. But any other questions about Zoom? We do suggest some small group training, possibly beforehand if you're doing a meeting, maybe 15, 20 minutes beforehand. Do a little bit of training before the meeting comes on. If you're using Zoom for a meeting for the first time, strongly suggest people get acclimated to it. That way your meeting can start on time. Make sure everybody's Wi-Fi is different. Everybody's computer is different. Everybody's sound and microphone and camera are different. So definitely the first time you're using it, highly recommend some sort of a little training, whether it's, hours or days before a meeting or just 15 or 20 minutes before you actually gather. Do a little bit of training ahead of time to kind of get rid of that anxiety. There's going to be a lot of anxiety with it anyway, using a new format like this. But certainly any kind of training you can do ahead of time will help ease people into this program. Any questions that I can answer for anyone before I hand it over to Sue? And she talks about another possibility if you want to stream.
You'll be here.
I'm still here. Right?
And Jim Molek wants us to move faster.
Okay. Go ahead, Sue.
Okay, and if people have to leave, just leave, because you've been asking good questions. So we're talking about virtual worship for a little bit, and I want to share a little bit about Facebook Live. And because some folks may have a time constraint, let me speak out, and then we can come back with some questions. One of the questions we'll come back with is music. We'll do this first. We'll get there first. Is the question about music and copyright, and Bill Carter will handle that. So when you're going virtual, some of the things that we have to consider that I know many of you are aware of, who's got what kind of internet, who's on internet and who's on phone. Now, when we went to Facebook Live, because for those who are on the internet, it takes minimal internet ability to get to Facebook. There are folks that absolutely don't want a Facebook account. So the downside of using internet only is that we have a whole lot of folks that don't have internet at all. So for them, they would benefit by some kind of a dial-up. Now, there is a service out there called freeconferencecall.com. I'm sure there are others. I tried to layer that in, and it didn't go very well, but it might have been the way I was doing it. In other words, so we did Facebook Live. We had that set up, and that was literally my Samsung 9 duct taped to a mic stand, and it was amazing. Al Roker did his bit on the Today Show this morning with an iPhone on a tripod. They had them all three separated. So it's very doable. The response was stunning, even though it wasn't the most exciting virtual worship in the world, but it went well for those who wanted to be there. We had people from all across the country check us out who know us, and many of them stayed. So that was kind of cool. I help my husband. He lets me in the pulpit once in a while. He's a local church pastor, small church outside of Philadelphia. So we have a lot of people who can't do Facebook. So our goal is to go live, but also to do dial-in. So Facebook Live is easy. You turn it on, you go. They recommend that you turn, I was reading about it, and the recommendation is that you hold your camera, your phone, whatever you're going to use, so that you get a horizontal, not a perpendicular.
Vertical.
when I set it up, it sure looked a lot better to me, like it was perpendicular. But when I viewed it on Facebook, I can understand why it would have been better to do this. I would recommend if you're going to have if you're going to set it up, that you are going to set it up and leave it somewhere, put somebody who has sensitivity to art and atmosphere to look at the scene that you're showing, to see what you might do, to make sure it's got some sensibility in it, that it's not showing half of a cross versus a whole cross or no cross. Maybe you want to put, if you're going to show the pulpit, maybe you want to have something on a podium in front of the pulpit, like flowers or stones. Or remember that we are multisensory people, and as much as we talk about Presbyterians being of the word, that's more of a lie than it was when I was a student. We are people of multisensory experience. And so part of what we want to do, especially since we're not going to be touching, is consider how we show that a bit online. I turned the camera to show the organist who was there with us, because he's like the most popular person in the room. And he does a great work. And so we went back and forth with some of that. I went up and did some of the service with my husband to get other voices in the room. Facebook Live, you are set with what you're seeing in front of the camera. You can't tag other people in who are not in the room. It's really easy. You can send out the information to folks on Facebook, or you could mail them or email them, or all of the above once you get going. This was a drop 10 and punt. He finally decided Saturday morning we were going to do this. Freeconferencecall.com would allow people to dial in to a strictly phone worship. And possibly your seniors are many, your non-tech people, your lack of good internet is as much. You might want to record worship and play it through that, which you can do. The instructions are pretty easy. That does not cost anything for the basic service. There are add-ons that are still not much. There's a donation piece. I do believe this is a Christian organization. I didn't totally ferret it out, but it looks like that to me. They're trying to serve us. What I would want to double check before I paid any more money was how good it is on the other end. And the way I set it up was I was hacking. So that's not coughing. I was hacking the tech. So I want to double check it before I decide to use it again. But for conference calls at your church, etc., if you don't have that ability, this could be it. There are other services out there. Google them. They come up. They pop up. Wayne and I are expert Googlers. So if you can't find something, let us know what you're looking for. And between the two of us, we might surprise you. You can smile at that, Wayne. There you go. But it's true. It really is true. Okay. That's Facebook Live. Zoom affords you the opportunity with the pro account on up. They have pretty much let go of dial-in phone service on the free Zoom account. That's because of the virus and all the people jumping to Zoom. We have noticed changes in some of the work they do because of the schools are using it, blah, 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 blah. There may be other conferencing services you would want to try, but we're finding that Zoom is working really well. But the pro account gives you the ability to have people dial in like we have people dialed in today. That would solve the problem for the folks that don't do internet. You can also set up a Zoom meeting so that it is using your personal ID number. Write that down. Not a unique meeting ID. When you have a Zoom account, you have a personal ID number, so that you could use that for a Zoom meeting for worship with maybe the same phone number every time. So that is reoccurring. Check it out. I'm sure the Zoom ID is reoccurring. I'm not 100% about the phone number, but the least change from week to week would benefit people. However, some people who are new to it, it's going to take them a little while to get used to it. Now I'm not talking about you, hon. Now there is another option. One more option that I am still exploring. There are many options, but one more that I'm exploring is if when Mike showed you in your Zoom account, when you go to click the buttons to say, oh, people should come on muted, or people have to wait for the host to let them in, all kinds of asks. Down around polling, it also asks about live streaming. And that's in your account setups. And there are various live streaming opportunities that Zoom will connect with: Facebook, YouTube, a couple others. This is as of after 12 p.m. yesterday. I learned this. So if you set up your Zoom to go live on Facebook and you click that button, it will show up across your toolbar when you start your Zoom, just like polling does, just like chat does, just like other things do. And you can go live that way. I tested it with myself. I saw it. There seemed to be a significant lag. People could sign on to the Zoom, they say, but then they could also find you on Facebook. I want to make sure that the audio isn't crossing because it's not quite the same timing, but it looks like a really interesting possibility. Because if I can go live, if I use Zoom, I can have other people do leadership. I can post a bulletin if I wanted to, or I can post a PowerPoint with some liturgy in addition to seeing my face. We're learning more and more about how to do that, and we'll be happy to share. Again, this is not like for the first day, but Zoom affords us more opportunities as far as we can tell than Facebook Live does. And if you could run them one through the other, Zoom through Facebook Live, you can go anywhere you want. So those are general supports. It depends how far and wide you reach and who you're reaching to, but I can attest that the audio service on Zoom for dial-in people, pretty amazing. And that's a big concern for us Presbyterians who are in that vulnerable virus group of 60 and over. No one around this Zoom is there. Wayne, do I need to answer questions now, or can I go to Bill first about music?
I'd say go to Bill first.
So Bill Carter, please take the helm and talk to us about what we can do.
Sure. The context is that musicians make a living by creating music. And in a season when all the gigs are drying up overnight, it's very important that we take copyright considerations very seriously. I posted in the chat a notice from the denomination pcusastore.com. If you're searching for it, look for hymnal or Book of Common Worship and COVID-19, and the page will pop right up. They're basically giving us some free rights with some limitations, but you need to check that through. If you have a non-denominational hymnal, I don't have much to say other than Glory to God is a wonderful hymnal, and Memorial Gifts will cover it pretty quickly, but you don't have the time between now and the next month to cover that. So check out the hymnal publisher, contact their websites or give them a phone call, and I'm sure they'll be as helpful as they can possibly be. I will not say it publicly in front of the stated clerk, but my guess is the copyright police are pretty busy with other larger matters right now. So that's all I'll say about that. But please know that musicians are counting on income. And this is one of the streams by which they receive it. I think that's all I've got to say about that.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Bill, I'm going to ask you, as this whole thing unfolds over time, if you would please, because I know it's a personal interest of yours, if you can get information to us that we can put out to people with regard to music. I know that some folks don't care about legality, some folks do, and just so if we know the current state of things, that'd be great. Bill is primary force for Presbybop. If you don't know the name Bill Carter, you might know the name Presbybop. Scranton, Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, jazz group, fabulous work. And so while you have the helm, tell us how you live streamed a concert on Sunday. Word got to me.
Facebook Live, and we're learning as we go. Here's one of the things: if you use an iPad, you've got to face the primary camera toward the people. Otherwise, your entire sanctuary is flipped in reverse. So my friend Jim Thyron logged on and said, "So when did you start parting your hair from the other side?" So this is the kind of thing you run into, and we learn as we go. But that's what we did. got a little grip thing to hold an iPad on a microphone stand, made sure the charger was running so the thing didn't run out of battery time, and just simply put it up. You can check out First Presbyterian Church Clark Summit and on Facebook, and you'll see a wonderful violin piano concert that we did for a pretty empty room that folks have been thanking us for all week.
Can we share that, Bill?
Absolutely.
So duct tape also works really well if you don't spend the money on your stand. I swear by duct tape in all kinds of emergencies. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate you being here to do that.
Oh, sure.
Now, Patty, did you get your question answered? About copyright. Did Bill give you enough of what you can begin to work on with that?
Yeah, he pointed me to some resources. We do not have a denominational hymnal. So I'll have to do a little digging, but I appreciate knowing that it's likely that that most folks will need a streaming license.
So friends, if you are going to call a non-hymnal publisher, we would appreciate it if you would if you get information, send us that information and the name of your hymnal, and we can make that available to people.
Also,
that'd be a wonderful crowdsourcing moment for us. Thank you.
Also, hymns that are in the public domain you can use without worrying. Sue, James Bernhardt has a question.
Yeah, Jim. Hey.
Unmute yourself, Jim. Jim, lower left-hand corner, the microphone. Click it. You're open. Okay, I'm not seeing or hearing anything. Go ahead.
All right. There are questions I'm going to respond to in the chat room.
James has a hand up.
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't
I'm sorry. Richard has a hand up.
Sorry about that. I had to get the mute off. Susan, I sent you again something in private.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. Are you going to include information about those apps in the documentation you're sending at the end of the session?
What am I was just about to type to you, what apps? Facebook Live is not an app.
Okay. Whatever the programs in that you were discussing, so that we know, like Facebook, is there a connection to get like Facebook Live, a connection for?
Facebook Live is an option you have when you post.
Okay.
On Facebook.
It's a button. Thank you for asking that, Richard. It's when you put a post on Facebook.
Richards, H, so they call me Richard.
You can post. It gives you the option to go live. Take a look at your status bar.
Okay.
You can just go live. What I talked about with Zoom is if you go in and set up your account to live stream, it's pretty intuitive, but I'd be happy to try to walk some people through it. It gives you the option to go live, and it connects you to Facebook. It does it all. The piece that I'm not sure about is the time lag I was experiencing. If I can get my husband to help me this afternoon, we might get to test it. And I will certainly let you know, because that could be a big help to people. But Facebook Live is just a status option.
Okay. You also talked though about a phone app.
Oh, free. It's not, I'll put it down there, freeconferencecall.com. I'm writing it now.
Thank you.
I'm not used to this. This is, I feel like Twit TV. I listen to when I'm driving.
Richard, if you put your hand down. James, do you have a question?
Yes, it's actually Anita.
Okay.
Hi, Anita.
A few minutes ago, I couldn't get it to unmute. My question is it possible for several very small congregations to share a Zoom account, a Zoom Pro account? Because I know there are congregations who are not going to be able to justify $150 a year for a Zoom account.
So I have a stated clerk who sometimes says if it isn't expressly forbidden, I think this is a don't ask, pursue kind of a conversation. It's a matter of the codes, Anita. If you ask Zoom, they tell you no. Let me tell you what we do in our office. Maybe that's the best way to answer this. In our office, until yesterday afternoon, we had one Zoom Pro account. We all know the codes to get into it and use it and share it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
So listen, Anita, as a second to that, because there might need to be doubled up and duplicate when there might be multiple host potentials, we have asked everyone to have their own private free account, just so you don't have to do that if the time comes that you're overlapping.
Yes, and obviously there might be use overlap issues and things like that, like if somebody wants to use it at the same time.
Yeah, and many of our members would not mind us going to 40 minutes.
Yeah, somebody needs to be a scheduler if you're going to use one pro account. Sue Yoder has a question.
Yeah, Sue, hi.
Hi, it's not a question. We just did this for 3 churches. So we do use the not-for-profit one, and it's half price because we just all got it yesterday. And the church that I'm helping supply, Pottsville and Blank Slate and the Barn, all get it. It can do up to 10 licenses, half price.
Okay, that's the TechSoup one, right?
Yes.
And you had to go through and get yourself approved.
We've been approved because we get all our Microsoft, everything is half price. So churches
we do the same thing. We do the same thing. So if you're just getting one account or maybe 2, don't do it. But if you might be needing more than that, you can figure out when it's cheaper because you have to pay that license fee and then you get half price.
But half price for 10 people, 10 churches.
Right, but what I'm saying is,
plus you can all do it at the same time. So if we all have a 10 o'clock service, we each have our own account, we can each set it up and we can each do it. So if you put a bunch of small churches together, it would definitely be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It might work. I'm wondering.
Let's not get too deep in the weeds on that.
No, what I don't know is if you are TechSoup, maybe search around and find out who's TechSoup already in your neck of the woods, and that would be a good place to start to help.
Yeah, Nick Marlatt just put a great point on the chat that Zoom is only $15 a month.
Yes.
You pay for it by the month. So let's say this thing lasts for 3 months. You're out $45 to have your own Zoom license to use for 3 months. You know, this isn't a really expensive program, and I think has tons of benefits. And you figure in a month's time, you could do 4 worship services. You could hold 4 or 5 meetings. You could use that thing easily 10 times, maybe more, for $15 a month.
I'm also going to challenge you and tell you that there is somebody in that church who would pay to have it. I know that people aren't working. I know, but it's not pay the yearly a month for WebEx. What Zoom is for a year, we used to pay per month and more. The other one is GoToMeeting. If you end up not liking Zoom, check out GoToMeeting. I'm going to put that in the chat room.
So it's fairly inexpensive for all the things and all the bells and whistles that we've showed today. For $15 a month, that you might only be using it for a couple months, you know, maybe 4 at the most, hopefully, God willing. It's fairly inexpensive.
There are a lot of questions popping up with regard to the apps on phones. I think it's fair that the phones may not be as robust in their apps as are the online, or even even the iPad one may not be, although it's pretty close.
It's very close.
Well, on Android, some have experienced it well on iPhone. You know this drill. Somebody's going to pull up their phone and it's not going to work. So we try, but make sure you be loud with the phone numbers if you decide to use Zoom. Remember, though, that if you use Zoom, you may not be as open to those looking for church as you might want to be only if you use Zoom alone. I don't know what I think about posting a Zoom code and phone numbers on Facebook. I wouldn't, because there's a limited number of seats. It's 100 seats you get at a meeting for Zoom meeting. And unless you go even more expensive, which you can, you can buy up. But number one, even if well-meaning people joined you, it might bump some of your congregation members off. That's why I'm going to look at going live with Zoom through to Facebook Live. We'll see. Any other questions? Is that what? A GoToMeeting? I don't know, Cynthia. GoToMeeting may be a .com. I'm not sure. Try either one. That's the name of the program, GoToMeeting. They have various options.
If you go to Google and just search GoToMeeting, it will take you to the link for them.
Like .com.
Is it .com? It's a .com. So any of these virtual programs like Zoom or GoToMeeting are going to ask folk the first time they use them to download something to their computer. And some people don't like that. Sue Yoder, know that I am just astounded that you are here, because I know that you were teetering on the edge of worry about your computer handling one more thing. So I'm glad you got onto Zoom. But that does happen, and some people get fried. Now, my experience, I think our experience, is that folks with Mac often have a little more trouble doing this than those with PCs. I'm not going to comment on that about value of what appliance, but just know that. Be ready for it.
Matt has his hand raised.
Al?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just left the meeting a few minutes ago and tried to come back on my phone. I'm on my computer, on my Mac, and I just wanted to see what it's like on my phone, but it said that I have to download the program.
Yes.
Yes.
I
You
just
have
heard
to download an app. Yeah, you have to download a Zoom.
Zoom.
It's pretty
Okay.
nice, but
Free
yes.
Zoom app. Okay. I was originally under the impression that you could just accept the meeting, but you do have to download that.
Yes.
It's best to do that ahead of time and tell the congregation that they're going to have to do that if they're going to accept on
Yes,
their phone.
and that's true on laptops or iPad, anything. If you want to go into the Zoom, you have to download the app before you open the invitation.
Great. Okay. And I have a Mac, and it was easy for me to connect this morning. No problem.
Good. Well, that's encouraging. I'm not saying it's not getting better, but in our experience over the years, Mac users it's been more of a struggle for the Macs. That's good to hear.
Okay. Who else was on a Mac?
Patty.
Okay, Patty. So Patty, you and Al maybe want to be in contact about Mac technical stuff. So we're pushing an hour and 45.
I see where we are, and I had told folks they were free to go. Please free to go. Are there any more questions for now? Mike, I think we need to leave the meeting open so people can download the documents that you're going to put up. We need to.
So the last thing I'll do here, let me share my screen one more time, as I have created a document that includes some of the features that I touched on today, that we touched on today: polling, breakout rooms, recording. I also found the standing rules information we talked about a while ago. I added that to the document as well, so the wording is right here in front of you on this document. There's also a 2-page part of this about polling, which Sue spoke about, how to do polling. And the last page is I copied and pasted what Bill Carter wrote about the copyright permission. I just copied and pasted that right out of the chat and added it to this document. Now, how am I going to get to the document? Great question. So what I'm going to do is in the chat function, I am going to share this document, and you can download it right from here. And I'm doing that as we speak.
You might ask how he's doing that. If you open your chat and see it, if you look to the right, it says file. You can add a file. And that's right under the message. Mike's thing is coming up right below where I just typed, communion is totally legal. Bring your own elements.
Yes, let me say, there were 2 things came out from the General Assembly. One says that if you are not embodied, meaning face-to-face, it's not proper to do communion. There is nothing in the Book of Order that or in the confessions that prohibit a virtual communion service.
Did they really?
Yeah, that was in one of the things. And then later, another one came out and said that it's possible. I think it was after I raised some objections to the, if you're not face-to-face embodied, you can't do it. But I think I got them to change it.
Yeah, and there, again, on our Corona resource area, there, if you have skeptics amongst you, there are pictures of our governing commission taking communion.
So everyone should be able to click on that using Zoom for host PDF, should be able to download it to your desktop, and you have the information. If there's anything else I can do for you, get a hold of me by email. My information is on the Synod website. If you have any questions for Wayne, his contact information, all of our emails and their 2 phone numbers are on the Synod website. We are available virtually.
Mike, Janet has a question.
Go ahead, Janet.
Unmute. There you go.
Okay, I'm one of those Mac users, and I'm not finding that link to download the information that you sent.
Do you have the
can
chat?
any other Macs help me out with that? Where to find that?
Are you in the chat screen? If you do the chat function.
Hey, it keeps popping out, but I'm in chat function.
It should be about 5 or 6 messages from the bottom.
Well, all I see is there's the Babylon B quarantine churches.
Right before that. Is it right before that?
Right above it.
Nope. There's the Brahms concert, but no, you are not there on my
Little
chat.
icon that says using Zoom for hosts. I have a Mac. I just clicked on that and it downloaded it.
What'd you click on?
There's a little red thing.
Oh, by the host.
Yeah. Click on that and it'll download it.
Okay, gotcha. I see it. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's a recording on mine.
Okay, let me suggest that the 2 of you be in conversation, or Janet, one of us will send it to you.
And if you could email me.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to send it to you if you can't get it.
Okay, Buddy has a question.
I have the same problem she does. I did not get the link on the, I got the Babylon B one, but I did not get any other links in the chat room. And I am not on a Mac. I am on a PC.
Jim Mullock, you have a question?
Yeah, same thing. I'm on the Android app and I do not have the download option.
All right, well, I'm going to go through and see if I can copy out. If we recorded this, everything may stick in the chat, but I'm copying out the chat so that we can get all the links and recommendations in one place. Mike, I got it. And you can email Mike and he will send you the links that were talked about.
Jim Klinger, you have a question?
Yes, I would be interested in being able to contact people who attended this meeting. And I would be interested in the people who are running parts of this meeting having their email address so I could communicate with them.
So the Synod staff is on the Synod website. I'll type it on there. It's Trinity, SYNTRINITY.org is the Synod website. So that would be myself, Mike Givler, Susan Wonderland, the transitional executive, and Wayne Yost. Our contact information is on there. I will put my email on there as well in the chat. So there is my email address to everyone. So anyone who didn't get the resource sheet or has questions, you can use that email address.
Thank you.
Mike, I just got your link again. Can you just send the other link one more time? Maybe it just was because I was out of the room at the time or something.
Are you talking about the using Zoom for hosts?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you privately.
I'll post it.
Okay, I'll post it to everyone. Okay, should be posting. With no more questions, Sue, would you pray us out, please?
Sure. Friends, let's pray. Gracious Lord, we love learning. We don't love the situations sometimes that force us to learn, but we do love seeing new ways that we are called and compelled to share gospel and good news and be hospitable to one another and share grace. You are pushing us this day as we embrace these new things, and yet we know that you will go with us as we seek to live out our faith through these, our worship, our meetings, our gatherings. Help us to be gentle with one another. Help us to be kind. Help us to keep pushing ourselves so that indeed we can sustain through the struggle. And we can let folks know more than ever that Christ is with them, that God is with them, and that together we are God's people. As we serve, as we work, as we pray, as we worship. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Now, at the bottom left or bottom right hand part of your screen, you'll see a leave meeting.